Hello and welcome to my last presentation. This one is for Florida's waters. The first ecosystem that we visited was the river, and according to the Florida Natural Areas Inventory, this river can be described as a blackwater stream. A lot of the vegetation we saw in this river is repeats from other ecosystems that we've been to, but I still think it's interesting to see how it kind of differs based on the different ecosystems. So first up, I have the cabbage palm or sable palmetto. Fun fact about these is that during the Revolutionary War, the trunks of these trees were used to build forts along the coast because the wood of the trunk was soft enough to absorb the blow of a cannonball without splintering, but still maintain the integrity of the fort. Next, I have the bald cypress or Taxodium distichum. We've seen these before, but I like in my top photo that I have here how they were lined up right in a row. I thought that was really cool. These trees are actually protected by law in Florida waterways. Next is the saw palmetto or Serenoa repens. We've seen this in pretty much every ecosystem. It kind of is everywhere in Florida, but a fun fact is that this is the only species in the genus Serenoa. Next, I have the sweet gum tree or Liquidambar styrostaflua. These trees are often mistaken or confused for maples because of the similar leaf shape between the two. Next, I have the dotted smartweed or Parasicaria punctata. This plant is most commonly found in wetlands or. Next, I have water purslane or Ludwigia palustris. This is a succulent type plant that can grow in these thick mats like the one I have in the picture. These can be particularly problematic as they often find their way into irrigated crops such as cranberries, and then they can sort of crowd out the crop or desired plant. Here I have climbing hemp vine or Mecania scandens. This plant is a vine native to Florida, but in other regions it is considered threatened, and then in other regions it's considered invasive. Next I have Chinese tallow or Sapium sebiferum. This tree was originally brought to the region as an ornamental for landscaping and because people could make soap out of the seed oil, but it is now considered a problem as it spreads pretty quickly and is an invasive that crowds and blocks out other native plants from growing. Here I have the common water hyacinth or Eichhornia crassipes. We've seen this plant before. It is highly invasive and spreads very quickly and also crowds out other plants from growing. This plant was near the bank of the river where we put our canoes in. This is dayflower or Commelina communis. This plant gets its name because it blooms during the day. It also sometimes gets the name mouse flower because of how the three petals resemble the face and ears of a mouse. Moving on to my animals for this ecosystem, first I have the tracks of a white-tailed deer or Otocoileus virginianus. I suspect these to be white-tailed deer tracks just because of the spacing between the toes and the distance of the footprints in the set of tracks. A fun fact is that deer often travel parallel alongside rivers, and so they can cross wherever it gets shallow enough or there's a sandbar. Next, I have the brown anole or Anolis sagrii. These lizards are the most common and widespread lizard in Florida. They are highly invasive and are highly adaptable and can live in almost any areas. My last animal for this ecosystem is also the one I was most excited about seeing, and that was the little baby southern toad, or Anaxyrus terrestris. These were hopping everywhere around the riverbank. Toads actually hibernate. They're one of the last amphibians to go into hibernation and can be seen as late as mid-November, which is when we saw them. Okay, moving on to the next ecosystem. Here we have the beach and dunes. Here's a photo of the landscape showing the dune habitat. For my first dune plant, I have the sea grape or Coccoloba uvifera. These plants are very adaptable and they are widely used in coastal landscaping and dune protection. The fruits or the grapes that they grow are edible, but they're not true grapes. They are said to taste similar to muscadine grapes. Next, I have the dune sunflower, or Helianthus debilis. These plants provide foods for several species of birds, butterflies, and even beach mice. Also, the flower heads follow the sun all day, just like larger sunflowers. Next, I have the propagules of a black mangrove, or Avicennia germinans. After falling from the tree, mangrove propagules have an obligate period in which they must remain in the water before germinating. The black mangrove propagule must remain in water for up to 14 days. And here I have the white mangrove propagule, or Lagunicularia racemosa. The white mangrove propagule has the shortest obligate period of all the mangroves, of only 5 days, and unlike the black mangrove, this period of 5 days includes germination. Next I have bitter panic grass, or Panicum amarum. This grass is a clumping grass that spreads by rhizome underground. It is highly drought and salt tolerant, and thus it is often found in dunes and used as a stabilizer. Here I have one of the most iconic dune plants, which is sea oats, or Uniola paniculate. Sea oats are a particularly hardy species. They're very drought resistant, and they're immune to many types of fungi. They are crucial in protecting dunes from coastal erosion, and it is actually illegal to pick or destroy sea oats. Next I have seashore dropseed, or Sporobolus virginicus. This is a ground cover plant that is commonly seen in beach dunes. It is highly salt, wind, and drought tolerant. Next I have West Indian milkberry, or Chiacoca alba. This is an evergreen woody vine. The name refers to the white color of the fruits, and the roots of this plant have been used for multiple purposes in traditional folk medicine. Here I have beech morning glory, or Ipomea pescaprae. This is another plant that's very important to dune stabilization. This is an evergreen vine, and you can see the roots in the left picture sort of coming out from the edge of the dune and holding that sand in place. And for my last plant, I have sea purslane, or Sesuvium portulacastrum. This is a succulent type of plant that is actually edible. It can be eaten raw, pickled, or cooked, but you have to change the water while you cook it due to its excessive saltiness. Moving on to my animals for this ecosystem, first up I have the claw of an Atlantic ghost crab, or Ossipode quadrata. The scientific name ossipode of this animal actually translates to fast feet, and these crabs can move very quickly in their sideways direction, and they can reach speeds of up to 10 miles per hour. Next I have another crab, the black marsh crab, or Armassus cinereum. These crabs are known to inhabit salt marshes, and they dwell in the higher vegetated areas, sort of away from the water. These crabs feed on marsh elder leaves and other vegetation. Here I have a bird, the ruddy turnstone, or Arneria interpres. The color pattern of this bird indicates that it is a non-breeding adult, and the bright orange legs make it very easy to differentiate from other shorebirds. Fun fact is the oldest recorded ruddy turnstone was at least 16 years old. Next I have the sanderling, or Calidris alba. These are my favorite birds that we saw. I thought they were so cute. These birds are known to be monogamous, though this can change and vary based on the time and location during their migration. Here I have the willet, or Tringa semipalmata. I really liked the photo that I got on the right here of the bird taking off, so you could see the colors of the underside of the wings. In the 19th century, these birds were hunted almost to extinction for the feather trade, but they have been very successful at re-establishing their numbers and becoming a stable population. More recently, though, their numbers may begin to dwindle due to habitat disturbance, but they are proving to be relatively adaptable. Here I have a shell. This is the angel wing, or Certipleura custata. It is very rare to find these shells in whole pieces with both halves connected. The muscle that holds them together is very weak and breaks very easily. Next I have the tracks of a raccoon, or Procyon lotor. I believe these to be raccoon tracks just due to the shape of the hand and the claw marks that you can see. Raccoons are known to eat almost anything and quite often will dig up the eggs of sea turtles along beaches. Here I have another shell, the southern flatcoil or Polygyrus septumvalva. These are a widely occurring land snail, but they are often found accumulated in clumps of vegetation near water or in puddles after it rains. And there had been a storm at the beach, and so this shell I found it in a clump of vegetation up closer to the dune. Next I have another crab, or a piece of a crab. I believe this to be a blue crab, or Calanectus sapidus. These crabs can be found widespread in Florida in a number of habitats, and they occur in nearly every shore and estuarine habitat in Florida. Next, I have the coquina, or Donax variabilis. These are actually an edible bivalve, but because they're so small, it would take quite a long time to get enough of them to eat, so they're often collected and boiled to make what is said to be a very delicious broth. Here I have another very common shell, the common jingle, or Anomia simplex. These shells come from a type of bivalve mollusk. They're very common and very easy to find on the beaches. They're often collected and used to make jewelry and art. Further back on the dune, away from the water, we were able to see a gopher tortoise, or Gopherus polyphemus. Gopher tortoises often burrow near beaches or in dunes. They have been observed to leave their burrows and can be seen walking down along the beach, along the edge of the water. Because of this, people often mistake them for sea turtles and actually bring them into the water, which is usually fatal. Here I have the eggs of what I believe to be the loggerhead sea turtle, or Caretta caretta. I believe these to be loggerhead sea turtle eggs because that is the species of turtle that is most often seen or is known to use this area of the Atlantic for nesting on the beaches. My last animal for this ecosystem is the laughing gull, or Leucophaeus atricilla. These birds are known to have a quite elaborate display that they use to maintain order and claim space from other gulls. They throw their head back while making sounds, ruffling their feathers and flapping their wings. Their calls and the sounds that they make during these rituals often sound like laughing, which gives the bird its name. Last, I just wanted to include this photo I took at the springs just because it was so beautiful there and I had such a great time. And last, I have a video that I took at the springs that I wanted to share with you guys. That is it for my presentation, and thank you for watching.